The morning bell echoed through the corridors of Brookville High School, carrying with it the restless chatter of teenagers who lived for drama more than learning. The classrooms buzzed with laughter, whispers, and arrogance, the kind that came from students who thought they owned the place. Today, though, was different. A new teacher was joining, and word had already spread like wildfire. She's young, shy, and too soft for this school. At precisely 8 a.m., the door to Class 10B creaked open. A woman in her mid-20s stepped in, her presence quiet yet oddly graceful. She wore a crisp white shirt tucked neatly into beige trousers, her long black hair tied into a low ponytail. Her name was Miss Lyra Vance, and this was her first day as the new English teacher. Her soft brown eyes scanned the class with calm politeness. "Good morning, everyone," she said with a gentle smile. Her voice was smooth, too calm for the chaos waiting to erupt. The students didn't bother responding. Some chuckled, others exchanged smug looks. Sitting in the back row were the self-declared rulers of the class, Dax, Cale, and Quinn, the trio of bullies who made it their mission to break anyone new. Dax leaned back in his chair, tossing a paper ball into the air. Cale whispered, "She looks nervous already. Let's make her cry before lunch." Quinn giggled, twirling her blonde hair. "She's too pretty to be a teacher here. Let's see how long she lasts." Lyra placed her bag on the desk and started roll call. "Anderson," she called softly. "Here," came a distracted voice. She continued, marking attendance carefully, her posture straight, but her hands trembling slightly. She had fought hard to get this job, the same school that once mocked her as a student years ago, but she had returned with a quiet vow. "I'll stand tall this time." But fate had a different plan for her morning. As she reached Dax's name, he smirked and raised his hand lazily. "Present, miss," he said mockingly. "But I didn't hear your name. Should we call you Miss or Miss Hot Stuff?" The class burst into laughter. Lyra froze for a second, her throat tightening. She forced a professional tone. "It's Miss Vance. Please keep it respectful, Dax." He rolled his eyes. "Sure, Miss Vance," he said, drawing out her name like a joke. Cale chimed in. "Hey, Quinn, why don't you ask if she's single? Maybe she's just lonely." The students laughed again. The cruel jokes bounced around the room like knives. Lyra's cheeks turned red, but she kept her tone steady. "That's enough, both of you. Let's get back to attendance." But they didn't stop. They never did. Quinn whispered loudly, "Look at her. She's shaking already. Weak." Then, as Lyra turned her back to write something on the board, Cale flicked a pen cap at her. It hit her shoulder. She ignored it. Then came a paper ball, then a marker. She gritted her teeth. "Don't react, Lyra. Don't show fear." She continued writing the quote on the board. "Strength is born from silence." Ironically, it was a quote that mirrored her entire life, but the laughter behind her grew louder. Dax had walked to her desk under the pretense of picking something up. Instead, he reached toward her notebook, smirking. "What's this? Lesson plan?" He flipped it open, reading mockingly. "Poetry? Oh, come on, miss. You think anyone cares about poems here?" He tore a page, and Quinn cheered. Lyra turned, voice trembling with anger. "Give that back." Dax grinned, waving the page like a flag. "Or what? You'll write me a poem about respect." He stepped closer, eyes full of arrogance. "You should know this class doesn't take orders from scared little teachers." Before she could respond, Quinn's voice rang out from behind. "Hey, Dax, I think she's blushing. Maybe she likes you." The room erupted with laughter again. Cale joined in, saying, "If she likes attention, let's give her some." And then it happened. In one careless, cruel moment, Dax reached out and yanked the side of her shirt, tearing it slightly near the shoulder seam. The rip was small, but the sound was deafening. The laughter died for a second, replaced by gasps. Lyra froze, her face pale, her breath caught in her chest. Quinn giggled. "Oh my God, look at her face." Cale whistled mockingly. "Oops, wardrobe malfunction." Lyra felt humiliation burn through her skin. Her trembling hands tried to pull her torn sleeve back together. Her eyes glistened, not from weakness, but from fury, buried deep for years. The room seemed to blur. Every whisper, every laugh felt like a needle. Her mind screamed, "Not again, never again." Without a word, she picked up her bag and walked out. The class cheered, thinking they'd won. "Yes, we scared her off," Dax shouted, high-fiving Kale. The noise filled the hallway as heels clicked away. But what they didn't see was the storm gathering behind her calm silence. She didn't go to the principal's office. She went straight to the gym, an old dusty place that most teachers avoided. She pulled off her cardigan and looked at the tear in her shirt. For a moment, she saw her reflection in the mirror. Her face was calm, but her eyes, those once gentle eyes, were blazing. "You've spent years learning to control your anger," she thought. But today, control is over. Because what no one in that class knew, not even the principal, was that Lyra wasn't just a teacher. Before becoming an educator, she had spent 7 years in Japan, mastering Aikido, a martial art known for redirecting energy using an attacker's force against them. She had trained under her late father, a military instructor who believed that strength was not in violence, but in discipline. She exhaled slowly. "They wanted to see who I really am," she whispered to herself, tightening her ponytail. "They will." Minutes later, she returned to the classroom. The students were still laughing, taking selfies, celebrating their victory. But the moment the door opened, silence swept across the room. She stood there, same torn shirt, but with an unshakable expression, her gaze locked on Dax, and for the first time, he didn't smirk. Her voice was calm, cold. "Dax, Kale, Quinn, come forward." They exchanged glances. What for?" Kale said, half laughing. "Now," she said, her tone slicing the air like a blade. They hesitated, but something in her eyes made them obey. They walked to the front, still pretending to be amused. "We were just joking, miss." "Chill," Dax said, shrugging. Lyra looked at him. "You think humiliation is a joke? You think disrespect makes you powerful?" Kale snickered. "Well, it kind of does." In one fluid motion, Lyra stepped forward. Her hand moved faster than they could see. She caught Kyle's wrist as he gestured arrogantly, and with a graceful twist brought him to his knees with his own momentum. He yelped in pain. The class gasped. How did you?" Dax stammered. Before he could finish, she stepped aside, redirecting Kyle's struggling movement and guiding him flat to the floor, all without aggression, only precision. Then she turned her gaze to Dax. "Try me," she said quietly. He lunged, more out of embarrassment than courage, but Lyra sidestepped, hooked his arm, and flipped him with a simple turn. The classroom fell silent. The desks rattled. Quinn's jaw dropped. The confident bully who once mocked her now groaned on the floor, clutching his elbow in disbelief. Lyra's voice was sharp but steady. "This is what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." She looked around the stunned room. "You all laughed when they tore my shirt. Did it make you stronger? Did it make you better? No, it made you smaller." Dax sat up, face pale. "Miss, we didn't mean," she cut him off. "Respect is earned through behavior, not fear. And right now, you've earned neither." Quinn's lips quivered. "We're sorry, miss." Lyra turned to her, eyes softening slightly. "I don't need your apology. I need your change." The bell rang, but no one moved. Every student in that room felt something new. Not fear, but respect, the kind that comes when someone shows power without ego. Lyra walked to the board and calmly wrote one line under her earlier quote, "Silence is not weakness, it's preparation." Then she turned, eyes sweeping across the silent room. Class dismissed. As the students left quietly, Dax stayed behind. His pride was gone, replaced by guilt. "Miss Vance," he said hesitantly, "I'm sorry. I went too far." She looked at him and nodded slowly. "You'll prove that by how you treat others from now on." He nodded, eyes down. When she was alone, Lyra took a deep breath and looked at her torn sleeve in the mirror again. It was no longer a mark of humiliation. It was a scar of victory. She smiled faintly. Sometimes, she whispered, the quietest ones roar the loudest. Outside the classroom, the news had already spread. Students whispered in awe. The new teacher wasn't just strong, she was unstoppable. And those who laughed at her an hour ago now avoided even meeting her eyes. But for Lyra Vance, it wasn't about fear or revenge. It was about restoring her dignity and proving to herself that silence, when broken with strength, can change everything.